Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for waiting. We've got Rogue in the finals now. He has just defeated the previous GSL champion. And I gotta say, it does feel, after the games are done, like an of course moment, right? Like, no, it's Rogue. Remember how he dominated the world several years in a row? How he was untouchable and made it look easy? Well, he just did it again here now. And, and a lot of it was planning and then the cleanest reactions to what he saw Hero doing. With the exception of a bumpy game one, I mean, he looked just untouchable.
Even game one, I don't mind that so much because you could tell it was something that he had specifically prepared. And it's like, well, if Hero does do a misstep in response to this, then suddenly I can pull the rug out from under him, because that was kind of the game plan, the MO, the entire series. I have to say, it's so exciting to see Rogue back performing like that, and he's going to be going up against the winner of this semifinal match. Classic versus GuMiho. Now, Classic, he has already booked his ticket to EWC. He does not need to worry in that regard. He is playing purely to be the GSL champion. For GuMiho, there's no longer a tiebreaker match because Rogue is in the finals. If GuMiho wants to book his ticket immediately to EWC, he needs to beat Classic and then beat Rogue and be the GSL champion.
Right. I expect the overall tempo of this series to be different. I think this is going to be probably more drawn out. GuMiho will no doubt have a couple, curveballs here as far as builds and everything. But I would imagine Classic is going to play maybe the most conservative Protoss versus Terran we could expect to see.
I feel like that's the best way to play against somebody like GuMiho too. GuMiho's just got so many tricks. The repertoire of his builds is immensely large. He really can do basically everything. These days,
he can take the game into a lot of different directions, but he can also do a lot of different things and end up in the same place too. Like, you really don't know what kind of game to expect here, but I just feel like it's going to be GuMiho trying to do something on the map and Classic trying to either preempt it or stop it before it happens. And it does seem like Protoss is extremely oppressive on the map once you get a lot of different splash damage tech up. Once you have Psystorm, once you have Disruptors, once you have Colossus. And so it does feel like it's a game where one side, the Terran in this case, has to push, while the other side has to grow and tech, and that would be the Protoss.
Yeah, but if anyone's going to come up with a bunch of different unique timing attacks, it's GuMiho in this best of 5 series. I honestly feel like GuMiho's been this way for a very long time. He just feels like the most creative Terran player at this level of play, where you never really know where he's going to push the meta. He's, for the longest amount of time, has been experimenting with mech basically more than anybody else in Korea.
Yeah.
Now it's becoming basically standard in a lot of different situations. We see it so much in TBT. We're seeing it so much in TVZ. And this is a guy that sometimes will go proxy battle cruisers just on a whim, seemingly, in a variety of matchups and make it work. And so for Classic, I think that you put it really well. He is one of the best defending Protoss players in the game. He's kind of evolved from being one of the most aggressive and oppressive Protoss players going back almost a decade now into just a macro machine. But if anyone is going to stop him, it's going to be GuMiho. I think we're in for a fantastic series. I'm expecting a much slower, more epic, drawn-out series. Let's see if those are the games we're going to get. Pylon, our map number 1, is loading up. Who will meet Rogue in the finals? Will it be Classic or will it be GuMiho?
Okay, Classic in the bottom right, GuMiho in the top left here.
And already one SCV out on the map, Tasteless.
Oh, I actually missed that. I'm glad you pointed that out.
That's why I was dancing earlier. I'm excited.
Yeah, I saw you wiggling around. I was like, man.
Do we have a second SCV?
He is feeling it. Is it just one?
Oh, it's just the one, so likely going to be a Proxy Reaper. I was wondering for a moment, is GuMiho in game 1 of the Specified going to whip out the Proxy 2X Marauder?
Yeah. If my Marauder hits your attacking unit, you die. Is he going to send this into the trajectory? Wait.
Where are you going, Classic?
No. That's
barely out. Oh, he spots it. Wow.
Now that's what I call StarCraft 2.
I've never heard such.
Yeah. If you want to get your friends into this game, you're going to show them this moment, guys. You're going to have them hooked.
I don't know if that showed up on the stream, but the crowd just let out the most disappointed sigh. I think we all wanted to see what GuMiho was cooking. I'm sure Classic is feeling giddy with that one.
Oh, that's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay.
All right. GuMiho already getting derailed a little bit here in game number 1. This barracks is going to be quite a bit late here. Back at home. Window.
I didn't get it either. I'm not sure. It must be a meme on the Korean internet here.
Yeah, maybe. I'm still thinking about it. I got to stop. I'm not going to solve this.
You have to let it go. It's going to be a mystery for the rest of your life. So, look, I mean, this is rough for the Terran. Obviously, having your first important building denied, I guess having any building denied is going to be bad. But he's going to be playing from behind. This should make it a little bit smoother here for Classic. So we've got Command Center on the high ground, obviously because there's no unit to defend the Command Center on the low ground yet. Classic with his Nexus, it's going to finish quite a bit before the Command Center will. We do have tech coming. I wouldn't be shocked if we have like a starport and like, I don't know, maybe a Widowmine drop, something like that from here.
Tasteless, I figured it out. Classic's name is Kim Do.
Yeah.
Window.
Oh. Okay.
That's a creative pun. That took me a minute, man.
No, I would have just never gotten it, man. Okay, that's so funny.
It bothered me not getting it, but no, that's clever. All right, Reaper coming across map now.
They had this thing in GSL where they used to always ask Sue, you know, if it was Wednesday, they go, "It's your day. So are you going to win today?" And he's like, "I know it's my day." I had no idea what's going on, and then someone explained that because Suyoil is Wednesday in Korean, but this was going over my head. We would say it, and I go, I don't know what's going on here. But.
Me and Stu actually have the same birthday, and so whenever he would play in GSL on his birthday, he'd be like, "Oh, happy birthday, man!" And then he's like, "Thank you." I'm like,
"No."
He doesn't know. Anyway, it's a two barracks factory opening here for Classic. He's opening up with the Cyclone. Actually, really fast charge here from Classic. I think this is smart. I like this adjustment a lot. You already know that your opponent's going for a 2-gas opening. It's likely going to be some kind of push. We've seen players, especially Hero, really like leading into this charge first opening early on because sometimes this just stomps early pushes that Terrans want to do. And oftentimes, even if they don't go for that kind of early push, setting in 6, 7 charge lots with just a couple of other gateway units assisting them at a timing where Terran might not necessarily expect, might not even have a bunker or the natural expansion, can usually trade really favorably with the Protoss. And behind it, look at this, Classic already throwing down the Templar Archives, so he is powering hard on 2 bases.
So he's going to just set up for a 2-base push, unless this is a very, very late 3rd base, which is not impossible, by the way. He's going to have kind of an unusual tempo in this game here. He's going for the disable. So I guess the idea is maybe Protoss takes a 3rd, maybe there's some kind of tech like, you know, I mean, the truth is if you're going to go for Psystorm, the disable doesn't really help that much, right? But if it was Colossus, you could shut that down.
I think he might have actually canceled it. I wonder if that was a feign for Cloak Banshees. But
I think you're right. I think you're right. He's abandoned that tech, so that's no longer as much of a factor now. He also might have scouted or scanned the Templar Archives and gone, oh, okay, I can't really use this.
In any case, Classic with that very, very fast robo is not going to mind having at least 1 or 2 observers out on the map this early anyways. He's powering up now to 3 bases. Storm, by the way, we're at barely past 5 minutes and Storm is halfway done. There is 1 Templar, so it's already gathering energy. And I feel like for GuMiho here, signs are pointing towards a timing attack, but let's not forget that the first barracks, the proxy barracks, is getting scouted and stopped. Feedback coming in.
This is so bad for GuMiho now.
Yeah.
Because
He's going to be saying GuMiho after that
He's
Raven
going to be saying GuMiho no after that. I mean, this is kind of stuck over here now. It's going to be a while before it has 50 energy to even cast an auto turret. The medevac drop, you know, I don't think there's actually that much defending the third base. If you got in there fast enough and stemmed this down, maybe you could get a kill on that.
Perhaps, but it's very far along already, Tasteless. And these are Marines without combat shields. So with 4 Templar out like this, oh, the Cyclone actually pulling the gateway units away. Can he get the snipe on this Nexus? It is about to be done. No, he's just going to play it more conservatively, instead opting to take down the pylon, get at least 1 probe, and then peace out. I think that's smart.
Yeah, he just zaps the medevac, so he takes the energy out of that. A late third base here. I think at this point in time, GuMiho concluding, all right, I can't attack yet. We're going to have to slow play this. It's just going to be a more difficult later game. But this is the price you pay when you proxy and get scouted, you know?
The fact that it slows down everything, not just the Reaper coming cross map, but also the factory, also the starport going for a 2-gas opening like that.
It's also not a double Rax, right? A lot of times the other SCV can kind of protect that one, and you know, you might slow it down, but it still gets to go on. When it's one SCV making 1 barracks in the middle of the map, all you have to do is get that SCV removed, and they have to cancel.
All right, Templar loading up into the Warp Prism. Classic if he wants. There isn't really that much pressure that's going to be levied on him for at least the next couple of minutes, I think, besides these medevac drops. If he recognizes that there is a possibility he can find some damage with some Templar drops, but it seems for now he's more content just to stay really safe at home. He's adding in additional shield batteries. He is setting up spotter pylons all over the map. Probably gunning for a 4th base pretty soon.
Yeah. Again, I don't feel like there's a lot of pressure for Classic to actually attack in. I think he can just keep growing and basically force the Terran to try to, you know, stop it before he gets too far along. Remember, this is not a meching game, by the way. We talked about this a lot, and that may be entirely because the proxy Rax was spotted. I know that might sound like a stretch, but for the amount of mech we've had from GuMiho here, it may be like, well, this is the build I do when I get spotted off my 1 Rax. And, you know, it feels safe, but it feels well-rounded. Now, I said he might not have to attack in regards to Classic, but he is moving up. And this base is pretty much not defended. There's a lot of Templars, some even inside the Warp Prism. And this is a barely defended base. There's like 1 bunker here.
Yeah, those siege tanks, they are going to be able to hit these Zealots coming in. Oh, that's so many mules and SCVs are going to have to vacate immediately right now. Oh, they're actually getting lifted by the medevacs. Love that flare there from GuMiho, able to save all those workers. At the end, only 4 SCVs going down. And we do have Zealots and Templar getting warped in here. Oh, man, energy recharge, I think. Able to actually kill 1 of the medevacs and all of those Marines?
And I mean, at this point in time, 4 bases to 2.
Yeah, wow.
You know, these attacks are just not getting anything done. In fact, they're getting wiped out everywhere. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a 5th base thrown down here. And I don't know that Terran can even comfortably retake the 3rd. I guess he's going to try, and he's going to go to a different location. He'll have to remake the refineries at the gas over there if he does do that. But, like, doesn't it just seem like Protoss has so much more? Is there any way to fight this?
There's 3 ghosts, but the storms have already rained down with no EMP in sight. Oh, the ghosts even getting isolated here on the bottom side. Storms on the bio, reinforcing from the north. 2 more storms. Oh my goodness, so many storms! Tasteless, this is crazy. Those Templar are so high energy. And Classic with a great win in game 1. Just the momentum building off of spotting that counter, or the proxy barracks with a double gas build was just huge there for Classic, because when Terran try to go for 2 gas builds, if they're leading up to a timing attack, it's usually a difference of seconds that decides whether the push is going to work or if it is going to fail. And that was, I want to say, maybe 5-10 seconds, plus all the lost binding time of that SCV getting sent out so early. Just down the drain there for GuMiho, and never was able to build up into a timing attack. He kind of pivoted into a macro game, which it seemed like he didn't want to go into.
Yeah, I mean, it's the butterfly effect. It all goes back to that barracks that's spotted. I don't think that's going to be representative of what the rest of the games with these 2 are going to look like. And I think that is probably the last 1 Rax in the middle of the map from GuMiho in the series. I think he's just not going to do that anymore. Keep in mind, sometimes a 1 Rax build will pair with a double Rax or some other kind of cheese later on. We'll see if that's a factor here. Anyways, guys, we're going to go into game 2. Right now, Classic in a 1-0 lead. Okay. Classic in the top right, GuMiho in the bottom left. And no SCVs out on the map yet. We'll see if one does trickle out here to make a barracks, but we don't see it so far.
Yeah, seems like it's going to be more of a standard opening here for GuMiho.
And I think that was probably the easiest game the Classic will have all day today. He just had a sense of where the hidden racks might be, and then he just got to play a game where he got to expand. He got to hold off harass that was all late because he denied the first barracks, and you know it was basically a tech and build order reset. Texas loves GSL. GSL loves Texas. Let's make our own sign. Pass it back over. Welcome. So, you know, I want to see if we're going to have that weird mech stuff we were talking about here before with GuMiho.
I feel like we might see, I mean, we almost certainly will see some Cyclone play coming in from GuMiho, but it feels as though TVP is probably the hardest matchup by a lot to make mech work. If anyone can do it, I think it's going to be GuMiho, but at the same time, you know, with Charged Zealots and with Blink Stalkers, you don't really have the same kiting potential that you would have against Zerg, per se, where it feels like until they get fungal growth, they basically cannot catch you.
Right.
So we'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Cyclones mixed into the early game and then some kind of siege tank push behind that, but in terms of a battle mech composition, I feel like it would be pretty innovative if GuMiho is able to somehow make that work here in this TVP, because at least in the games that I've been seeing from this matchup, it seems like it is one of the ones that is the least unchanged from the current developments in the meta that have been shifting more and more towards Terran mech.
So for now, we're waiting to see what that big tech is going to be. You know, it's funny, like a lot of games in this matchup kind of look like what we're seeing here from GuMiho, but then when the Terran gets their the factory and the starport out, there's just so many different kind of games they can bring you, you know, and different add-ons they can swap on. So I think out of all the races in StarCraft 2, I feel like they have the biggest branches as far as the tech decisions, where, you know, and they can have all their tech kind of up in that regard, or most of it, and then kind of pick and choose what they want. Where Protoss, it feels like you get your cybernetics core done, and then you have to pick a very definitive tech that makes for a very specific type of game, and gives you certain advantages and strengths and certain disadvantages and weaknesses. So, you know, we've got the Adept coming in here, just trying to see if the CC's down there yet. It's not. We've got the second gateway coming. Wouldn't be shocked if Classic went for a third Nexus off 2 gates. There is, of course, 4-gate, you know, with Blink and Hallucinate, stuff like that, although I don't know if this is the strongest map to do that on.
Yeah, the map pool a bit weaker for that strategy.
Yeah.
Also, Terran players have gotten so good with their sim cities that
yeah, and knowing where to put every tank and like having a bunker in their main and stuff. Yeah, it's nowhere near as strong as it was. We had like, I don't know, 18 months at GSL where like Terrans are just getting whooped by that. So this is going to be the third CC with the second gateway. And you know, you're a little flimsy early on as Protoss. Like the drops are scary and you got to be ready, and you never know where they're going to come from. Sometimes Terrans will even fly in from like a counterintuitive spot. And he's got the Cyclone here with the Marines.
GuMiho could just drop right on top of this if he wants to.
Yeah, this is a weak army right now. I mean, none of this is going to be great against fighting what Terran has, and he doesn't want to let this cancel. He's going to go for the Sentry. He procs the Guardian Shield and basically sacrifices that. The Stalkers are just not quite strong enough to kill the Marines, but the damage spread is good enough. The Cyclone's weak enough. He drives it out regardless.
Yeah, those last couple Stalker Warp and stabilizing there for GuMiho, and GuMiho, he does have the second Cyclone joining forces here, but with the first Cyclone so low on HP, I guess he's going to move back in, but I feel like it'll be a challenge to get much more done, especially as Blink just finished here. For Classic, he's coming in with 5 Stalkers, 3 on the bottom side, and he's immediately blinking on top of that medevac, not able to snipe it right away. And one of these Cyclones actually going to be able to work its way into the natural expansion as the 4 Stalkers will clean up those Marines by that third base. GuMiho just trying to get any damage he possibly can done.
He's bleeding, guys. He's lost a lot. And without seeing much for it. You know, we did have the Sentry and the Stalker and the Adept killed. There were some workers killed, but, you know, the medevac, 2 Cyclones. The third base basically unimpeded.
No bunker done yet here in the natural expansion, so some room for Micro here with Classic Stalkers. Only 4 of them. Ooh, actually, Microing really far forward. Oh my, okay, that
was a blunder by Classic. Classic just for sure thought that Raven wouldn't be right-clicked all the way back, and it was.
That auto turret also, I think, took down 2 Stalkers, got the killing blows.
Yeah, you know, auto turrets, you just, if you can, just don't engage with them at all, because they last for such a short amount of time. But like, he was just in the middle of it, so he ate a lot of shots. And a lot of times in this matchup, that's all it takes. So, I mean, he lost a decent amount of Stalkers. I don't think he killed anything of real significance back there either. He's going to come in again, and, you know, the tank is kind of hanging out here. It doesn't have to be this far forward, but it was.
Yeah, that's a nice pick off there for Classic. It makes up a little bit for the fumbled earlier attack, and behind it, he is powering up something awful. Storm's coming in, or Templar Archive starting in, I should say. 10 more gateways. Charge, I believe, just finished. +1 ground weapons is here. And although things aren't perfect in the world of Classic right now, given how many Stalkers he bled out just a moment ago, he has been able to slow down GuMiho quite a bit. And GuMiho, he is now starting to eye potentially a timing attack here, but with no medevacs on the field just yet, those Marines already really low. This Banshee not able to get really anything done because the shield battery is there at the third base.
Is he gonna take a third, or is he gonna push?
I think he's gonna push, but Classic feels like he's getting very well equipped to deal with this. Oh no, there actually is. Wait, do we have a third command center this whole time? I feel like we didn't get a shot of it.
I missed that too, actually. Yeah, I thought.
Yeah, I see it floating in on the mini-map right now. Okay, okay.
Yeah, right there, smack in the middle.
I was just completely missed
I thought he was gonna do some kind of a 2-base timing. He's gonna have the third up here, which means he could just push a little bit later.
I was gonna say, looking at the army, I was like, surely the early game, like, it wasn't that bad for GuMiho. Why does he have so little with this push? But no, there is that third command center. That makes a lot more sense. Oh, that first series was so quick, it feels like we're still warming up here, you know?
Oh, I know. Well, the Banshees are denying the mining over here at this base. There's no observer, I think, with this mix, so there's no way for him to just come in there and blink underneath it and clear it out.
I think the first observer might have just popped. There's a second one out, so they're just scattered across the map. I still don't think there is one here for Classic, although he's trying to potentially catch these Banshees when they run out of energy. Ideally, you'd be able to kill one of them, but they are both going to be able to escape over here at the top left. Fourth base coming in for Classic. Storm nearing completion as a ton of upgrades finishing up on both sides. GuMiho, I don't think we have a fourth command center just yet. I'm watching the minimap again because I don't trust myself, and I don't see a big red square. So I'm thinking that it's probably going to be a 3-base push coming in here from GuMiho.
And we just got to see more tech. We've got the Psy Storms up already. Do we have a Robo that's finished?
Wait, I think Classic just finished +1 ground weapons, and he started 2 more forges.
Yeah, this is really weird.
Is he going 3? Is he going 2-1-1? What is this?
I'm also surprised he's going to attack. This is walled in.
All right, Classic trying to breach the gates here, but
this is the worst thing I've ever seen.
Listen, he's disabling the Warp Prism and both sentries, so there's no Guardian shields.
That was insane.
That's pretty sick from GuMiho.
To be honest, man, when you have that many Zealots, you don't attack into a wall of buildings. Like, that made no sense. So I'm a little bit shocked.
I'm waiting to see if Classic starts +1 shields. I wonder if he forgot that he already had +1 ground weapons.
This actually happens, or like they thought they didn't make a forge, so he's making 2 forges now, and so now he has to make the shield upgrade just so he looks good in the tournament.
He's like, oh, the casters are going to make fun of me if I don't do this.
If I don't do this, the casters are going to be on to me.
Ooh, even the Storm kind of whiffing a little bit there. Not the cleanest game number 2 here from Classic, but he's going to try and charge in another angle. This is a much better angle, but still, with those siege tanks just immaculately placed from GuMiho. Oh, and even the Banshees coming in here to the third. Stalkers are going to warp in. One of the Banshees very low on HP, or very low on energy, I should say, but there is an observer. Still, 5 probes going down. I think maybe not even 1 Banshee going down. GuMiho, I feel like the last 5 or 6 interactions that these players have had on the map have all been GuMiho-sided.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, my big thesis has just been that Protoss doesn't have to do a whole lot, and that Terran kind of has to end the game. So I'm confused. Less so by the second attack in, but by that attack at the top where there's like a depot wall, I'm like, yeah, this is just never going to work. So I think he's allowed GuMiho to do a pretty good job catching up. Now, Classic is getting to that critical mass where he's going to basically be too big to fail. He's taking the bottom right base, and I think he might be taking the top left here too. And it just becomes such a slog to try to kill that off. So he's going to come in again, and I don't think you ever want to commit here. Okay, some nice Psy Storms, but again, it's hard to push in with Psy Storms versus siege tanks in siege mode. That kind of takes priority. It's always a little bit easier to defend with Psy Storms because they got to run up, they have to siege up and stim into you.
Tasteless, we just had to look at the units tab. There's still only 2 medevacs on the field. This late in the game, that is really low. GuMiho is going to max with like 4 to 6 medevacs in total, which means that his army is going to have a lot of firepower, but not very much sustain. And meanwhile, Classic, he is powered up to basically every single base on his side of the map, and it looks like he is gunning for this fort. The Planetary just finished morphing in. There really aren't any units that are capable of taking that down. With this attack, is he still going to commit? He is. He's actually going to blink forward. That Planetary with Mass Repair is not going to be an easy cookie to crumble, as they say.
I mean, he's just never going to get in there. Oh, that was sick.
The storms were huge, though. 8 SCVs going down. But this army from Classic, he's nearly maxed on 90 workers. And this is not an impressive army, Tasteless. I think we still have those 2 Templar that just spent their energy dropping storms on that 3rd base. But the standing army for GuMiho, with only 6 medevacs, we have 25 Marauders. This army has so much firepower that even though Classic has grown into this massive beast on the map, he's at, what, 6 going on 7 bases? If he doesn't have a very good engagement here against GuMiho, things could spiral out of control very quickly, and GuMiho able to take this base down. Classic, he is not recalling. He's going for the base trade. He's going to try to take down this Planetary, but again, there isn't really the high damage units to take that down quickly. He's going to bleed out a lot of gateway units. And now the Disruptors are isolated here at the 3rd base. Another Nexus is going to go down. These Disruptor shots, the Storm, although it is good, Disruptor shots not really connecting the way they need to. That Planetary only just now falling.
Now, here's the thing. It's going to be a bit of a base trade here, but there's more bases for Classic, so there's more to clean up here for GuMiho. Classic can recall his army back and maybe barely hold this off, so he can knock him onto 1 base, which is almost what Classic's on. He does have this outposted base in the bottom right. He can recall into the main, and maybe he can salvage this position.
And let's not forget, it's a very low medevac count for GuMiho. I believe 2 just more finished from that starport, but you see the ones right here with this army. There's only 4 of them. This bio cannot heal up. I guarantee he wants to stim again right now to try and lower all these gateways, but energy for Terran is a resource in this moment. You got to be very careful, because if we get into that scrappy situation where this goes full base trade and you are trying to close things out with this army right here, you want it to be as high HP as possible.
I mean, there is still place. Oh, just barely denied level 3. So here's the thing. You've got 2 bases that are mining. You could start to rebuild infrastructure. Oh my God, he snipes that too. And this is the problem. Terran really doesn't have a base. I mean, he's got 2 more bases landed that are barely mining, but like that can easily be denied. They're also not that mineral rich. Terran denies his base over here in the bottom. There's still the far bottom right base.
Classic has rebuilt some production there as he's charging in to clean this up. Will GuMiho be able to escape? Only 1 full medevac. You see how hectic the moment is. GuMiho just not really able to corral all those forces and evacuate them safely because there is so much going on. This is an immensely chaotic moment.
Yeah, this is crazy.
GuMiho back at home. He's still on 3 command centers, Tasteless.
By the way, GuMiho's actually mining more.
Right.
We should point out. For some reason, to me, it felt like Terran was mining more, but these storm drops are so nasty. And the problem is there's no real easy way for Terran to fight it. Now, the energy is going to regen on that. There's not a lot of heal or sustain here. If he targets down this command center, I mean, again, the pressure here is on the Terran to try to figure out how to get to this bottom right base. If he even knows that's the base that he has to go for, he might not be sure on the minimap where Protoss is.
So Classic has mostly rebuilt his production all the way down to the bottom right.
Both sides have 19 workers. He can drive that command center away. This picks the income down to 0, where Protoss is barely trickling in a little bit of resources. He's got another Warp Prism here. He's going to storm again. He's going to pick up over there. The medevacs are basically empty when it comes to energy, but I don't know if Classic wants to attack in here. He can always wait and try to pick things off from afar. He doesn't have to move into an entrenched position, which is exactly what this is.
Yeah, scans will also be at a
he's going to move into an entrenched position. Okay, but he's unsieged.
Oh, the storms are massive, Tasteless! Some of the biggest storms we've seen here at GSL, catching the entire army as he retreated.
That was sick.
What a victory for Classic. That one battle might decide the fate of this entire game. So much bio got taken out, and now Classic is finally able to get back online. He's not trying to take another expansion. Instead, actually he is. He's building another Nexus, but also 7 pylons. In a moment, he will be able to start producing units again here. For a long time, his production has been stymied on his side of the map.
Okay, he just needs to recall this back home, but he doesn't have everything grouped up together. He's going to scan. He sees the bottom right base. He knows that's where all the workers are, all 18 of them. Terran is not mining. Protoss is gaining energy on Templars that are still in the game. Medevacs are going to slowly regen their energy, obviously, but you know, when you have this much infantry, the stims, they bleed out the energy on the Medevacs pretty fast. He's going to send 2, I think. Oh, he's going to pick up some units over there on the side.
Oh, if Classic's able to find these, he is so close to spotting those siege tanks. The Medevacs are flying over the army. It's only 2 Stalkers, but they can take down these Medevacs. At least one of them going to fall, and I guarantee Classic on the hunt. Yeah, linking forward. One of the Medevacs will escape. Oh, he can't go back for the siege tanks. Even the feedback, the killing blow on that Medevac. It was solo on HP, and Classic is so confident now in this position. He's taking a 3rd Nexus.
Yeah, he doesn't even really have most of his infrastructure back here. He's at least not supply blocked. He actually went up to 190 supply available now. He just made like every pylon he could with the money he had. And the problem is Terran can't really hide a base. You can try to like move back out onto the territory that was given you at the start of the game, but you know, Protoss has more. And if Protoss dips in at the right position, you're going to get run over.
All right, another engagement coming in. Those Marauders in the wrong place at the wrong time. Only a handful of them escaping as the Zealots continue to charge. Classic, he doesn't need to take this fight, but he wants to.
I mean, great size storms here. The worker count now down to 1.
There's no mining here for GuMiho.
Maybe 1 mining gas in the main or something.
Disruptor shots coming in.
You know, GuMiho actually, hold on a second.
Wait, what? How is this happening? How has GuMiho been able to, there's only 5 Templar right now for Classic?
Wait. Okay, he's going to get some Stalkers and some Zealots. Could he like YOLO push this and win the game?
He might be able to. I felt like Classic had this in the. He actually bled so many Zealots out, attacking up into those siege tanks. I think he didn't anticipate.
Yeah, I think he thought that was everything he had, and then this tanks and infantry sort of came down from the high ground.
Well, this has suddenly gotten a lot closer.
Yeah, so right now Classic has to win this fight. He's going to throw the Psy Storms down.
No way. GuMiho, are you doing this?
Another Psy Storm.
The storms are pretty big, but there isn't a lot of follow-up damage. Classic with maybe 2 or 3 more storms available, but there's basically no bio left.
Oh my god, he's going to barely beat it. Wait, hold on. There's more infantry coming, but Zealots are going to spill down.
How many more storms do we have? Do we have even 1 more storm left? Energy recharge. We're not sure if it's available. Oh, the Medevac's getting taken out.
Insane.
How is this gotten so scrappy?
This is so crazy. I think he's just got enough. There's no heal.
Wow. I must say.
Wouldn't mind. Oh, good dodge.
I must say, Classic was in
just crazy.
A really good position. GuMiho with kind of a miraculous play to even bring it down to what it is right now. 15 army supply to 13. Now a big round of warpins here for Classic.
So there's nothing mining at the 3rd base for Protoss, by the way. I think he thought he was like more ahead. He's like, oh, I actually have to. Okay, there it is. GG.
What a game.
What a sick game. Dude, that goes to show you do not want to get too cocky in a moment like that. Like, he stormed the workers, which I don't think was necessarily bad, but I think he thought, okay, well, that's everything that he's got. And then, suddenly down the ramp comes all these other units that were basically just protecting the main. And Classic barely wins that. But the win conditions that I was talking about are very much there in that game. Protoss gets too big, and then Terran is finally ready to push out, but the issue is Protoss can always counterattack. And if the Terran goes back to defend, Protoss keeps growing. If Terran doesn't go back to defend, Protoss can do a base wipe faster than Terran can. And even though both sides are in shatters, the Protoss is going to have probably a little bit more and can try to play the comeback from there.
What a wild ride game number 2 was. And now it is match point. GuMiho almost staged the comeback there after the base trade scenario. Brought it so close, but instead, he only has 1 life remaining. Classic, he wants to meet Rogue in that grand finals. Will he do it here on lane 9? Map number 3 is loaded up. Let's go.
Okay. Classic here in the bottom left. GuMiho here in the top right. Now, I really thought we would have more crazy mech madness here from GuMiho. I kind of thought it was going to be like, you know, we're going to watch Classic like Sonic the Hedgehog, and he has to fight Dr. Robotnik on every single stage and beat his, and then right when he beats him, GuMiho jumps in that flying machine and he's got to go to the next level. But instead, it's been GuMiho with, you know, kind of traditional, straight up, classic, conservative Terran play, which who knows, that might be the best way to play in his mind, but so far it hasn't produced the results. So I'm very curious to see if we're going to see a deviation here from GuMiho, or if he's going to come up, you know, with a more clean version of what he's already been doing, and one that would work.
Yeah, mech is just, it's hard to do it against a Protoss player of Classics tier. It feels like you can never get enough momentum, especially if Protoss opts to go for Blink so quickly. If you lose your first couple of Cyclones, or you just take too much damage early, you can't go for that mass expansion style that we see GuMiho love to do. Watch 2012 GSL Season 1 Finals in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. Oh, my God.
Whoa.
I loved that event.
That is an awesome cheerful.
That was the event, in my experience, that I had the most Gamba at. That was fun, man. The Cosmopolitan Hotels we were in, one of the best hotels. One of the least memorable finals, by the way. It wasn't actually a super close finals, but yeah, that was a fun time having GSL in Vegas.
I could just see you in real time going through this nostalgia trip.
Yes.
I'm sure some happy memories.
Absolutely.
I think GSL is just such a storied history.
So, you know, this game, a lot like Game 2, you know, both sides are teching and developing. We do have the command center on the low ground this time. And Classic is just continuing to try to, you know, develop and probably get a second gateway with the Twilight Council, get a third. I really would be surprised if we see Classic try to, you know, do anything super aggressive or super high risk.
And I'm wondering if we see a stronger timing push coming in from GuMiho. We haven't had any real two-base play. By the way, double Reaper here from Gumi, so he is going to be going into the Cyclones first. Twilight Council on the Protoss side of things. Will it be Blink or will it be Charge? We have seen Classic already in this series in game number 1 kind of brace for the impact of a potential push with Charge as the opening. That might be his response to the really fast 2-guys openings that we're seeing from Terrans sometime. We'll have to wait and see if he actually does it here. I don't think this is grenadable. So no, GuMiho just going to be wailing on that pylon instead. Sometimes you get these funny angles with a pylon or a gateway where it's just barely clipping the wall. And that allows you to use the grenade to kind of propel yourself past it. I don't think you can do it with that wall in. It's a really tricky business trying to go for those grenades.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be very tricky for sure. He's basically just sitting out here, getting confirmation of a third. And the Hallucinated Phoenix is going to go through here and check which add-ons are plugged into what extensions, what buildings, excuse me. And we've got a Robo and the Zealot Charge. Oh. So this is totally not a standard build.
This is a cute move from GuMiho. I was wondering if we're going to pair this with a scan to try and confirm the kill there on the Stalker, but instead just using the Reaper to get vision on the high ground.
So he's going to basically get a Warp Prism, I think, and then do like a... Maybe if the Terran gets a third, Command Center's 2, this can be punished, but I think he's just going to have a bunch of Zealots with Charge that he can kind of try to run over. Warp it in the main, maybe? I'm not so sure. What do you think?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It could also just be for an obs, because we have a Templar Archives getting thrown down.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe this is more conservative than I thought. I think in my head I saw the Charge and the Robo, and I'm like, oh, he's going to get a Warp Prism and do something weird.
Charge is just really good against the 2-gas openings because they typically don't have as much bio with them. It's a much more technical army with a faster factory and starport units.
I guess you could just kind of overwhelm it with Zealots, and they no longer get to finesse it on the ground. They have to pick up and run away.
It's one of the better solutions that Protoss players have been deploying against the siege tank pushes on 2 bases, which have been so deadly for so long.
Yeah, we've had a lot of games where it's just a full-on shutdown. Like, they just get in there and it's like, you're out, no more third base. So yeah, it's going to be the Psy Storm. It's going to be a few more gateways here. So we don't have that Nexus yet, but it could be coming.
Oh, it's mirroring the way the Classic approached this in game number 1. Just very conservative, making sure you already have the Templar Archives, you're already getting stormed by the time you throw in at the Nexus. It's not really, obviously it's not as macro-focused as taking a rapid third base would be, but it seems like Classic coming up here against GuMiho, his mantra is basically to stay alive, right? He's trying to deflect any potential curveballs GuMiho might throw his way.
He's slow cooking it. I think he almost feels like if GuMiho's going to try to win this, he's going to try to basically dismantle me on my third base. He's not going to try to go toe-to-toe in a long game. So I'm going to take a super slow third myself. I'm going to have Storm super early.
Yeah, Storm not done yet, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. It's like, what, 10% away from finishing?
Maybe 15 or 20 seconds.
Oh.
I think GuMiho recognizes this. He's trying to take the fight right now.
He's hit the Templars.
The Zealot's able to buy a lot of time. He is losing them, but once Storm is done.
Okay, he's got it. Just don't
try
to not storm your own observer here.
Honestly, if he kills the bio, I don't think he minds too much storming that observer. In fact, it does go down.
Okay, this is like really scary.
Yeah, it's
this
a tricky push. Oh man, the siege tank is coming in too. And keep in mind, we already lost basically all the Zealots. Classic had to sacrifice them to buy time for the storms.
Okay, he should not push in there. He should run back and force an unsiege. Whenever Terran's playing like this, you want to make him unsiege, and as they unsiege, you run into him, do some damage. When you see them siege up, you run right back out. Now, GuMiho's going to try to go around. He's actually going to completely, possibly outposition
Double
Classic.
Classic
Is, yeah.
He's going to be going for the main base and the third while he hits potentially the natural expansion. In a moment like this, where Classic wants to restock on Zealots, this could be very dangerous. Oh, GuMiho, is he actually going to bring everything to the front for the push? It seems like it. Storm's going to drop down, mostly just zoning away the bio, only able to confirm a couple of kills. Wait, you're actually going to move into this Classic? That is very brave.
He's got to back up. The infantry is so squishy. Remember, there's no heal on the medevacs. Oh my god, the attack from the bottom with the Zealots.
Oh, the charge pretty good. Almost taking down that medevac. The Stalkers, there's just enough of them. Somehow Classic getting the better end of this trade. I was skeptical at first, but this is absolutely working in his favor.
Dude,
just able to push GuMiho back from that position.
These Cyclones are so low. Oh, I guess it's just one, and then there's two tanks in there. But he basically drove him back. I don't think there's a counter punch here for Protoss where he could attack the third base. But, man. He's going to transfer the SCVs over here. He's going to pick up with 3 Marauders and 2 Marines, basically try to get some damage done. And I'm not sure what's actually back at home here. Seems like he's just saturating probes. Protoss is actually going to go back, and I think he might end up just running right into this infantry group.
Yeah, it's just spider piling down here too. Those Zealots certainly going to spot it.
Yeah, Protoss going to grow into this position as well, feeling safe. And, you know, it's sort of back to the basics here. The Protoss will continue to try to get the other tech upgrades, and especially the splash when he can. And then the Terran wants to try to, you know, figure out how to end the game or do something. I do feel like that is the dynamic of the matchup right now, is that the burden is on the Terran. And in RTS games, sometimes that's how a matchup operates. The burden is on one race or one faction to try to figure out how to come in and stop the other. And they're actually going around each other. Now, this is not the moment you'd want to be counterattacking necessarily, but we may be forced into this position here just by where the armies are positioned for the time being.
Oh, pretty good SimCity right here with these barracks, but there's so much coming in now for Classic as the Gateway units just storm in here to the natural expansion. And speaking of Storm, a couple of Templar are going to drop these Storms right on that bio. Third Nexus going down here for Classic. The fourth, of course, also was denied. Defensively for Classic, he can choose to warp in some Templar and energy recharge them on the defense. I'm not sure if he's doing that or committing on the front. I think actually we might have just had, EMP, I think, on those Templars. So instead they're just going to morph into Archons. I don't know how many Templar we have left here for Classic as GuMiho. He's pulling the boys defensively, trying to stay alive here in the main base. I think this time it is working. One more Templar goes down. That is the last Storm that Classic has here on the front line as another round of Zealots is coming in. But this army for GuMiho, it is just continuing a rampage in the main base of Classic. Classic is trying everything to stop GuMiho on GuMiho's side of the map.
Oh my god, that almost killed the medevac. I mean, the question though is, for Terran, I mean, how are you going to get in? Sorry, I mean for Protoss, I mean, what is going to defend your base here? What? How is this thing not dead?
Oh, solo on energy. That medevac maybe on 1 HP right now.
Okay, Protoss is hiding a base on the Terran side. SCVs are going to be pulled over here. The third base is still mining, or no, it was mining, I think. He pulled out some of the SCVs there. The issue, oh my god, he's going to take out the gateways over here. So money-wise, it's 600 minerals for GuMiho. It's 225 for Classic. He doesn't have any way to recall, right?
I mean, there's Nexus finishing up at the center of the map. He would have loved to recall these probes.
Well, he just lost all of his workers.
Well, yeah, the Nexus just isn't done yet. He doesn't have the time. All right, Classic, it seems like he was able to work. Yeah, the Templar Archives is here in the main base. I was wondering if it was in the main or at the natural expansion. We had another round of Templar warped in, so Classic's army just got a lot better. 4 Templar in total.
Oh, he might have to Skystorm that? Oh my god!
Warp Prism goes down. That is a lot of micro capability removed from the Protoss army.
Remember that there's a lot of medevacs, so there's a lot of places he can try to move around and drop. He's got SCVs and he's got enough money he can make another command center.
That's right.
Protoss might want to just like actually go back to their new Nexus and camp and start to make pylons so that he can make probes.
He's got 4 probes though, Tasteless. He needs to make, I think, 2 or 3 pylons before he can even start building more workers again. That's going to take a long time. This is like a Brood War start with the economy here.
This is going to be really interesting. Now, if he can like snipe this, keep in mind, full energy medevacs can be zapped and killed here if they're low enough. And you know, the Templars are obviously in position enough. He sees this one coming around.
And needs a couple of hits. Got an 80 HP now on that medevac, but honestly for GuMiho, I think you just need to sit at home. You know you killed all of the workers, you didn't see any recalls, you confirmed the kills on the probes in the main base.
He's got to play single player, basically. He's got to just like stay back. Now, Terran has some infrastructure. He's got a lot of depots, which like can be killed, but I think that, you know, he's a little bit wary of being too far away.
Whoa.
You're kidding me. Keep in mind, had the last 2 medevacs been killed, this would be a very different game. The fact that they're alive, and they can be repaired, by the way.
And so we're going to have 2 command center for GuMiho. Barracks, Factory, and Starport. More than 1 mineral line worth of SCVs. And GuMiho just scanned the only Nexus of Classic. Now, there is a little bit of lack of information here for GuMiho. He might not know that's the only Nexus. But I think you can surmise that Classic is not in a good economic position. So right now, the onus is on Classic to try and end this game, and GuMiho seems to recognize that. He is setting up these structures in a nice defensive position here in the main base in case there are blinks in. He's forming a nice line. He's got a line of siege tanks as well there in the natural expansion. 2 tanks in total, some Widow Mines, a Ghost hanging back. Classic needs to find a way to break GuMiho, and I'm running the numbers in my head. I don't think you break that with 8 Zealots, 4 Archons, and 4 Templar. He might try to macro back up. I don't think Classic realizes how dire the situation actually is.
No, I think he knows because of the workers that he has right now. Like, the fact that we're right back to the action here with the SCVs, Terran's going to develop really nicely. This is what I was wondering about earlier, was like, would he be able to just send Zealots over here and kill this off? Because you want to force him to make, like, a lot of depots again, right? If they get to keep all their depots, you just make a bunch of barracks and you're already back in the action. But like Protoss doesn't even have a cybernetics core up yet. I don't think there's even a gateway in the game, right?
It's gonna be a while before he can afford that. He can't even get constant pro production just yet. He only just now had a supply block. And you can see GuMiho looking at the minimap. There's a medevac that is just checking all of these bases. GuMiho obviously in the situation doesn't want to spend too many scans.
Right.
He's like, okay, there's no Nexus in the top left. There's no Nexus here. At 11 o'clock, is there one at 12? He's just slowly confirming that the game state actually is what it is, which is that GuMiho is in a tremendous lead, building 6 more depots back at home. He is not going to be supply blocked for very long. And Classic, I mean, losing another Templar. There really isn't a path of victory here for Classic, but he doesn't realize that yet. You can't fault him in this situation. You know, you're 1 map win away from going to the finals. He's just trying to play it out. GuMiho is learning how dead Classic really is, but Classic is as of yet unaware.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he knows he's behind, but he probably cannot appreciate how dire the position is. And I think this should be a pretty slow game from here. I mean, basically, GuMiho's going to get a couple rounds of infantry out and probably just push out and win the game. Yeah, but I think even with perfect Psy Storms, you're probably going to have enough to you know, endure.
I would say that push will happen in a couple of minutes if I'm GuMiho. Because if you lose this game, you're out. You don't want to... GuMiho should know this is a position that is unlosable if he plays it right. Just play it nice and slow here if you're GuMiho. Don't risk potentially moving out and Protoss having more army that you didn't see and somehow Classic is able to turn this around and kill you.
I like the landed mule up there on the burning building, top right, to repair.
I completely missed that. What building was you repairing?
For the Ghost Academy.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, no, sorry. So he's going to come down again. And, I mean, at this point in time, I don't know. You know, EMPs would be handy here against the few Archons that are in the game.
Yeah, there's really nothing, just adding in additional ghosts. This is the first gateway coming up here for Classic in quite a while, by the way. We are ways away. You start this game with 12 workers. Classic has 11 right now.
Oh my God.
All right, he's pushing. This could be a good engagement, but oh, those EMPs just melting the Archons. The Storm's fantastic here for Classic, but GuMiho just a little bit too strong.
GG.
Is going to end it. Game 2, Game 3, very hectic, very chaotic. Back and forth with the base trades. I really respect GuMiho. I know it slows the game down, and we can obviously see everything, so we know that GuMiho's effectively just won the game, but I respect him recognizing the position and being like, you know what, I am just going to wait. I am not going to potentially have one of the biggest regrets of my career and move out and get knocked out of the GSL semifinals right here and now because of it. So it's that he builds up just enough. It's what, 3-4 additional ghosts come in, he EMPs everything, and we're going to
Game 4.
Game 4.
Gotta say, I really liked that one. Kind of an unusual moment. They sort of passed each other, and then we got into a base race. And you can see why Protoss need to be further along in a game to do a base race where they've got, you know, maybe 40% more expansions, right? Where they've got enough they can kind of fall back on everything. And as good as Terran would be in that moment, they just can't clean up everything as neatly and as easily as Protoss can do to them.
I would love to go back in a replay and see exactly what Classic could see when that happened, because I know there was one observer on the map, but I don't know where it was. And I'm curious if Classic made the decision to go for a base trade or if it was just something that happened. Because it did work out very well for him there in game number 3.
It did feel like it just happened.
Or game number 2, excuse me. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I feel like...
I think he was just like, oh, we're already far out enough. Okay, we're doing this. Let's see what happens. He probably wanted to actually catch the army in the middle of the map and do some side storms, but GuMiho was pretty good at changing his movement on the map and relocating.
It feels a lot tougher for Terrans to win base trades in the current patch, by the way, just because you can warp in Templar and then energy recharge them back at home and have 2 storms.
And recall, I mean, there's actually a lot of tools Protoss have, and it's funny because, you know, Terran is the more mobile force for most of the game, but when it comes to a base trade, actually, I think Protoss is a little bit stronger.
I feel like even with recall in previous patches, and maybe that's just my bias as someone who mains Protoss, I would say it's just Terran favored because of the nature of the mobility of the bio and Terran buildings being able to fly and all of this.
Sure.
But, yeah,
but if you're up on enough bases, then I think with warp, like Templars warping in and setting stuff back, keep in mind, all you got to do is snipe the command centers when they pick up and try to leave. And they don't have that many usually. Usually you're like doing it against someone who has 3 or maybe 4.
It is a packed house, by the way, here in GSL. Any more chairs and the fire department's going to come over and shut us down.
That's it, man. A couple more people come in here and there's a fire. Everyone's going to die.
Don't speak that into existence, please.
So we have one of our players requesting a break here. So we'll be going into the game shortly. But I have to say, even though GuMiho won, and that's great, I want a close series. It's not looking good for him. That was one of those games where it's pretty hard to recreate, and it's pretty clear Protoss was strong even in those moments where, you know, I don't know. I mean, it was a pretty perfect base trade. Able to keep the depots alive, able to keep all the SCVs alive, you know?
Yeah, I feel like...
I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't feel like GuMiho has got the answer yet for the matchup, especially versus Classic.
It feels like even in that game, if there was not a base trade, I give the advantage to Classic. He was quickly expanding. His macro was fantastic. I think that if they had even an engagement in the center of the map where Classic was able to come in from multiple angles, which it seemed like he was angling to do with the position of his army, just maneuvering counterclockwise from the bottom all the way to the right, I feel like that's very good for the Protoss in this situation. And so I'm right there with you. Everything seemed to go well in that base trade for GuMiho, but it has me worried about what happens when we go into the next game, and if Classic is able to navigate his way into a macro game, will GuMiho actually be able to keep up? Because it feels like the development for Terran, it's a little bit slower than it typically is, and we also aren't having, oh, there's Gemini in the crowd, by the way. We aren't having those absolutely deadly pushes coming in from Terran. Like we saw Cure deploy to Hero, almost leading to a GSL victory. That went to Game 7, right?
No, it just seems like GuMiho's kind of on struggle street, trying to figure out exactly what he needs to do to get the game to a place where he's comfortable. And it doesn't feel like there's really that moment there. Maybe he attacks in early, but Classic's shown that he's willing to take a third base later, get his tech up sooner, and basically sandbag the progress to that. And in a game where the Protoss is just trying to stretch the game out as long as possible, and as long as the Protoss can keep getting tech and keep making a more and more sophisticated army that basically answers everything that Terran has, it's harder to push in. And then when Terran finally does feel like they might have what they need to fight, the Protoss turns the game on its head and just counterattacks.
I'm not sure what GuMiho could do differently, and maybe I'm not sure who requested the pause either, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was GuMiho trying to think, all right, I got back into that one, but it was a little bit sketchy there in the early game. What can I change going into game number 4, game number 5 to try and bring forth a win? Because for GuMiho, he can't drop a single map now. It's 2-1 in Classic's favor. The winner of this series will go on to play against Rogue in the grand finals. And a lot is on the line. GuMiho, he still hasn't completely secured his trip to EWC. He will have. He does have a spot in the final, I believe they're calling it the global qualifier, the last chance qualifier for EWC. But that means that if he wants to get the ticket right now, because Rogue won that first series, he needs to be the GSL champion. You can't.
Well, it's more important to win here. I mean,
right?
I think you got to treat every opportunity like it's your last, even if it's not. But right now, I mean, it's looking very, very tough. Obviously, Classic going to have a very different matchup if we do get a PVZ here. It's going to look entirely different. But it's been interesting in Season 1 and Season 2, at least for us here at GSL, to kind of explore the PVT matchup and see how it looks and see the way, in some ways, at least Terrans out here are struggling to figure out how exactly to end the game. By the way, guys, we're ready to go into Game 4. The break is done. Okay, Classic down here in the bottom right, GuMiho in the top left. Any SCVs sent out on the map? Any weird cheeses? Doesn't look like it.
By the way, I've been loving Classic's Reaper Wallen so far. I'm drawing little diagrams here on my tablet for how to do it when I get home. Feels like I'm watching one of those Gemini posts where he tells the Protoss players how to wall on every single map. Really nice SimCity from Classic here in these early games, and their early scouting has been very good too. If I'm GuMiho, sometimes when you rewind the game, obviously in StarCraft 2, you play the match is over, you can press W and rewind and see the game state. You might want to check on something like what the scouting pattern was or how active it was in a moment like that one. Classic has been really on top of it. Even after he spotted that initial barracks in game number 1, he didn't leave anything to chance. He didn't say, you know what, it's unlikely GuMiho goes for another proxy barracks in this series. I'm just going to play it really greedy and go for a later scout or a faster scout. He is still checking his corners. He's making sure everything is where it should be.
Nice probe to come in here and delay that command center.
Just very solid, safe play coming out from Classic so far in this series. And honestly, I would almost be surprised if he was the one to mix it up. I feel like it's really GuMiho who might need to take the initiative to make a change here in game number 4.
Yeah, GuMiho, the longer this goes on, the less I feel like we're going to get mech. It seems like he's kind of locked into this style, this approach. I am a little bit surprised he didn't try any real cheeses. The proxy 1 racks isn't like a true, it's not like a game-ending cheese, But
you're just fishing for a couple probe kills is all.
Yeah, you're fishing for some kind of a tiny lead here.
Oh, is that a second barracks actually getting thrown down? I assumed it was a factory, but... Oh, okay. Maybe a 2-on-1 opening here from GuMiho.
Twilight Council starting. Classic just kind of going with the flow that we've seen in the other games prior. Such a different pacing, by the way, from our match with Rogue and Hero.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, it just shows you how different. You get two completely different players, and it's like a whole other game. So he's going to run this one Stalker behind here. No SCVs to snipe, so he backs back out.
And with the 2-on-1 opening here from GuMiho, he's going to have considerably more bio than he did in the other games. I'm thinking back to the games where GuMiho fast expanded, and I feel like they were all 1-1-1 openings. I'm not sure exactly, and so that usually leads to a much more technical army, like at least at the very early game. It leads to situations like the double Cyclones going in for some pressure on the third base of Protoss with the Marines, as we saw in a previous map. Or oftentimes it'll lead to a siege tank push where the tanks are getting out very quickly, but there isn't a lot of bio to support. Here with the 2-on-1, we're going to have stim hitting much more rapidly than it normally would.
And this variant, I think, is another way to create an opportunity early on. You know, it looks like the third base is going to be early, unlike Game 3. Game 3, he kind of locked in, ready to take a fight in the middle of the map. So maybe this is going to be the shape of this game so far is going to be one where maybe GuMiho can actually pull off some kind of a fatal blow, you know, basically taking the Protoss down before they get out of control. Because Game 3 was such a unusual game, and primarily in that it was an early game base trade. It was as early as you can get for base trades, right? And then all the Terran kept like 16 SCVs alive. So that's like, well, that's almost all you need to know.
Plus 2 orbitals to add insult to injury too.
Yeah, landing mules constantly. So
brutal.
It's like Protoss had like 3 probes or something when the Nexus was making. So yeah, I mean, when Stim's done, it's going to be time to start to move out on the map here for Terran. Now Protoss is getting Blink, but Blink is a little bit handier versus like medevac stuff. Well, hold on a second.
Ooh.
Is he just going to catch this? Now, Stalkers are actually good versus Marines when they're alone. Oh my God!
Some nice positioning there from Classic. Now with Stim, you can chase these down and get some damage done. Oh, Classic really wants to catch these. Almost surprised we didn't see a snap recall back at home. I wonder if the energy just isn't available right there. And on Classic side of things, we do have a third base coming in. But he is powering up. He's respecting this. They're going into a Robo Bay very quickly. He wants Colossus up to deal with this Marine-heavy composition. And most of the games leading up until this point, GuMiho has been playing very Marauder-heavy styles. But with this 3 barracks, 1 factory, and 1 starport, and double reactor on the barracks, there are going to be so many Marines. I think Colossus, very smart decision in this situation.
And GuMiho's going to come out swinging. He's positioned himself off and on in the middle of the map. Protoss does have that third base, drinking in the resources over there, but it's going to be a lot of down to this 2-base push.
Yeah, there is a bit of a decision to make here for GuMiho as we're getting closer and closer to 300, 400 minerals. Do you add in 2 additional barracks and go 5 racks and try to end the game right now, or do you go for a delayed third base behind this pressure?
And I'm kind of hoping he's going to go for the 2-base play. I just feel like the way these games have sized up, he's not. He's going to go for the third base. Okay. So this game is going to go more into the direction of Game 2 and 3.
But I must say, I like the setup here for GuMiho a little bit more with this bio. I feel like this is going to give him a lot of opportunities to get some damage done. Stimming forward. No concussive shell just yet. That is going to start now. Of course, only 1 tech lab here for GuMiho, so these upgrades are coming in very slowly. And he scans, sees all these zealots, does not know when charge is going to finish yet, so he's going to retreat.
It's like 10 seconds out. So, I mean, he's going to have that in a moment, and then it's going to be really hard to do. Don't know if Protoss can counterattack, would even want to counterattack, but with a Colossus out, you might want to try. Especially with charge there, too. Now, charge could be used to attack in with the main army. We've also seen some moments where they just kind of counterattack certain locations and force the Terran to, respect the counterattack threats and come over there. This isn't exactly a well-defended natural either. It's an empty bunker. I don't think there's a tank there or anything. There's enough structures. Maybe it's kind of walled.
Yeah, I think it is a wall in, or at least nearly one.
Yeah.
He's working on getting that wall set up at least.
It's coming. Doesn't save the Stalker with a blink away, but sends the Zealots in here for the counter. But again,
there is a bunker, but nothing in it.
No, it's empty, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Well, not anymore. Just watch this state. Goes right inside. He's going to hit the third base, which will be forced, I think, to lift.
Yeah, This is a pretty good Protoss army too. GuMiho on the retreat. Oh, he's going to try and full send into the main base. Not all the units. One of the medevacs actually empty. Didn't pick everything up, so that siege tank is going to get chased down. GuMiho in the heat of the moment trying to get here as quickly as possible. Luckily, that siege tank actually going to survive. We'll be able to siege up here on the low ground. Forges in a very dangerous position. +1 is going to get denied here for Classic. GuMiho immediately just going to retreat back off. That was a dicey moment, but he got the best out of it. Still, back at home, that third command center has not been planted down just yet. GuMiho still waiting for the reinforcements to be able to dispatch those zealots.
Is he going to go
and
to the
resaturate
main?
that base? Is he going to come in again? You got to be careful with these Blink Stalkers, even without +1. 7 Blink Stalkers can do a lot of work on those medevacs.
So the medevacs are going to be parked just eye shot, maybe out of eye shot, away from that position. And GuMiho's not, honestly, looking that great. Not mining from your third base, while Protoss was mining from the third base the whole time. And I think he traded pretty well. I don't know if this means that Classic can wind up for another attack here, or if he just needs to turtle and kind of camp it out. Now, this would be a good cancel, because I think he's just not expecting something so straightforward as a dive in over here. Yeah. Oh, did he not cancel that?
I don't think he canceled it, no.
Oh, wow, okay.
And he can actually take down this Disruptor and potentially even the Colossus. Keep in mind, this is, I believe, 1-1 bio against a Protoss whose upgrades got reset. We do not have +1 ground weapons. I don't think we have +1 armor, so this bio is going to scale very well against what Classic's got.
No way, he repairs that? All right.
I've played so many games that look like this. I never expect the bunker to die tasteless. Blink forward here by Classic. Only one Disruptor shot, and so GuMiho is just easily able to peel away, and he's actually loading up the medevacs again. Will he go into the main base? No, it seems like he is going to retreat, regroup his forces back on his side of the map. I'm liking this more and more here for GuMiho. Yes, he is a little bit behind on eco, but with the upgrade advantage, with +1 only just now finishing here for Protoss, and the army trade's been very advantageous for the Terran player as well. It's only really SCVs that have fallen thus far. Keep in mind also the splash damage here for Protoss. 2 Colossus in total, only 3 Disruptors, and oh, is he even going to catch this Warp Prism? I think it should barely just survive.
Yep, nicely done. He keeps it. Terran's not on the map now. There is that small counterattack of medevacs on the far right.
Yeah, top right side, we have a ton of loaded medevacs.
God.
And there's, is there one Hero Zealot that's going to spot this? And the Observer too. Oh, Classic, he's moving forward. GuMiho has not realized he's been spotted. The Stalker's going to blink under this! Every medevac going down is 10 supply down the drain. That is 30 supply down for GuMiho in the blink of an eye.
I can't believe that just happened. I can't believe he was just there, hovering. Oh my God.
It just takes one small mistake. He doesn't notice the Zealot. He doesn't notice the Observer. The medevac's idle 5-10 seconds, and Classic's army was in the perfect position to capitalize. 30 supply down for GuMiho in just a number of seconds. Oh, that's a painful moment. The mid-game, the engagements, they were looking better for him, but 3 medevacs and all of that bio being taken down, even with Ghost now entering the field here for Terran, I feel like Classic, with upgrades equalizing with 1-1 done, he is going to have a hell of a counterpunch coming in, especially with 2-2 so delayed for Terran.
I mean, he does just roll him over here, right?
It depends on the Disruptor shots, but I'm right there with you. I think it's going to be a really good fight for Classic. It'll take some fancy micro from GuMiho.
I think he might want to even just move up and go in there. He's got Zealots he can drop in over here. He's going to blink into the side. Another Disruptor shot comes.
Ooh, gets a Ghost. One of those Marauders now very low on HP as well.
Yeah, and I love just having the Zealots warping in over here.
Yeah, that move into the third base allowed him to free enough supply to warp in those Zealots. Another big engagement coming in. I think only 2 more Disruptor shots off cooldown. That's going to be a big one, but it gets canceled. The other ones, at least one of them does have pretty good connections. Colossus are getting taken care of there by GuMiho. But so much going down in terms of army for our Terran player.
And Protoss, again, too big to fail. Too much of the map, untouched, completely untethered.
And Terran down to 3 medevacs too.
Yeah, and it's just GuMiho, getting almost smothered, drowning in the Protoss units that just keep coming in here. No real way to drive him back anymore, as the Protoss army's just too sophisticated, right? I mean, He's got 2-2. That's great. He's going to knock the rocks down.
One unlucky zealot.
Yeah.
I think Classic's ready to push
But, you know,
again.
if Classic had paid any attention to 9 o'clock, he could just go over there, too, and hit that.
That's a lot of landed Vikings.
Yeah.
Careful, GuMiho.
Okay, he's going to try to
Careful, GuMiho.
match him over here. Very weird that he had landed Vikings just isolated over there.
Blink took one of them down, and Classic is just continuing to expand. Double expansions, 7 more gateways. Second Robo is done. Dark Shrine nearly completed.
And we might be at the point of no return. I mean, when these probes get saturated at all these new bases, I mean, you can just run in and remake and just do it over and over again. Nice disruptor shots will take the tank out. The command center, I don't know that it can be saved. There's just too much damage coming out here. The SCVs can't repair it in time, it looks like.
Yeah, the disruptors don't get the good connections they need, but they are able to zone away the bio. And keep in mind, these stims incredibly painful.
I can't believe that got saved, by the way. But Protoss keeps growing. And Terran has to use everything that they've got to try to defend that base.
It's soon to be 8 bases for Classic.
Versus 4. And by the way, a barely functioning 4. We've had a lot of SCVs killed. We have the command center lift several times over.
I believe Liberator range is done, right? There must be.
Well, it certainly looks like it.
4 Liberators on the field. This bio still not healed from the last skirmish. Only 4 medevacs. As Classic now pushing in. Disruptor shot zoning away the army on the right side as he focuses in on the natural expansion.
And this is the base that we were talking about the whole time. If Classic gives this base enough attention, he should be able to clear it out.
Yeah, 3 Immortals and all these disruptor shots. Oh, not the best engagement right now. That planetary is staying alive. A recall actually going to lead to 1 disruptor going down. These aren't the best traits for Classic right now, but he was able to kill a ton of SCVs, and his economy is just off the charts. He can afford to take trades like this. Look, he's taking another base in the bottom left.
Okay, so it's almost comedy at this point in time. He actually has almost run out of bases to take.
That TT is 16 kills, Tasteless. It wiped out the entire Minoru line at the 3rd base.
Dude, that's insane.
I was wondering where all those SCVs went down. I thought maybe it was a disruptor shot.
I thought it was like
a
zealot hitting something somewhere, but yeah, no, he had the DT that got in there and it got so many kills. GuMiho's going to move out, and GuMiho just doesn't have enough to push with. He doesn't have enough to remake either.
And look at the HP on these bio units, man. It is so low. Only 3 medevacs, even with the energy upgrade. There's just no healing. Classic right now sitting on the world's best Protoss economy. Only 67 workers, but so many expansions. I'm pretty sure GuMiho could kill 2 bases and Classic still couldn't saturate all these mineral lines.
Well, I mean,
absurd.
we're seeing the counterattacks happen over and over again, and it's keeping Terran oppressed, and then Terran doesn't have enough to push out into the map.
GuMiho,
and this feels closer and closer to checkmate economically.
I think it just has to be. GuMiho can't even saturate a 4th base at this point. It's 16 minutes. Classic has almost the entire map. All right, Blink's forward coming in. Is this going to be the finishing blow?
Looks
Stalker's
like it.
taking down all these Starport units, the bio. Finally, there are enough medevacs to heal them up, but now the Protoss army is just a little bit too strong. I think Classic's done it. GG has called a 3-1 victory, and we're going to have a Classic versus Rogue final.
Hell yes. Great series. I mean, Classic, just the ultimate PVT flex. Herculean strength there, just unbreakable. And once he gets big enough, I mean, he will never be able to take him out in a matchup that looks very tough for Terran right now. Classic knows exactly how to play it perfectly. So he's going to be moving on, man. We're going to have an interview with him in a sec here.
6-year gap since he was last in the GSL finals.
Wow. God, it's been that long.
I mean, just really terrific play from Classic, showing us the standard tried and true defensive style that has brought him so much success now at birth in the CODAS finals. In a moment, we're going to hear what he has to say. Classic versus Rogue. I am looking forward to that one, Tasteless.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting interview. Kind of a wild finals here. Rogue Classic, it feels like it's from a completely different era. It's like a pre-COVID finals here.
By the way, because GuMiho now has been knocked out, Rogue has secured his spot in EWC. He will get the ticket because Classic already has his For GuMiho, the story to EWC, it is not over. He does have that final qualifier, the final global qualifier to go into the play-ins at EWC. But, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm very happy that Rogue made it. Let's hear what Classic has to say.
Classic, massive congratulations. For the first time in 6 years, you make it GSL finals. How do you feel right now? Yes, you know, it feels great to move on to the GSL finals after such a long time. But then there are players who are now unable to go to the EWC, so that kind of saddens me too at the same time. So Rogue was actually really glad that you made it to the finals. So anything to say to that? No, I really wanted to win, and you know, after hearing that, that only just like maybe win kind of more.
오늘 펼쳐졌던 대테란전에서 좀 엘리전 구도가 좀 자주 나왔어요.
So compared to the other matches, we got to see a lot more frequent elimination races in today's match against Terran.
선수가 좀 특이하게 이렇게 나오면 안 되는 타이밍인데 좀 나와가지고 이게 엇갈리는 바람에 게임이 좀 이상해졌는데.
You know, there were some things that really didn't go to plan,
움직임을 놓치기도 했고.
and you know, some curveballs here and there.
오늘 유독 그 우주 관문이나 아니면 거신보다는 폭풍 위주의 플레이를 좀 많이 펼쳤는데 그게 김도우 선수가
Rather than the great gateways, you played a lot of air units today against Terran today. So was this strategized specifically for Terran? That's right, this was strategized for GuMiho. He's such an aggressive player. And in the round of 4 last season, I was defeated by the Cheese Rush, so I decided to just go for a stable build and just try to play passively. That's right, it's been 6 years since you last moved to GSL Finals, so anything you want to say to the fans? So another offline finals for me. This has been an offline finals I've waited for so much. I'll try to make the fans proud. Yes, and the finals will be kicking off momentarily. We'll have another interview with you before the finals. Thank you.
All right, Rogue versus Classic, your GSL Season 2 finalists.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a lot of fun. Again, it feels like it's from a different era, right? Rogue Classic. Both these guys, two of the best in their respective races and periods in time. But here we are again. Rogue has returned. He's in incredible form. I honestly had no idea he would do as well as he did here, getting to the finals. I thought it was crazy he got into the Final Four. And Classic, I mean, he's honestly looked the strongest out of everybody today. Just really impressive decision-making, really good control of the game. I'm curious if this is going to be a very different PVZ or it's going to look really similar.
Yeah, Classic is so good at defense, and Rogue was so aggressive against Hero. Can't wait to get into it. Guys, we're going to go to a short break. When we come back, the GSL Season 2 Finals. We'll see you in a bit.